Hi, Ms. Rodriguez. We're just going to go over your financial plan one last time. I created a PowerPoint for you. And so we have your goals, and you mentioned that you have an emergency fund goal, a trip to Hawaii, you want to buy a new home eventually, and a vacation to Australia. And so of these goals, your most important is going to be your emergency fund. And so we're going to use the insurance money to pay this off first, because this will help set up your future in an effective way. And so your emergency fund goal will take about 2 years to completely pay off, and you'll end up getting like $50,000, 544, and then with an interest rate of 1.5%. And so your monthly payment on that is going to be $2,090. And so all of your goals total are going to end up costing you $3,900, or around $3,900. And this is actually less than what you are currently paying for debt. And so as we get your debt taken care of, it'll make it easier for you to reach all of your goals. And so with your debt, we have a couple different credit cards that are kind of hurting us right now. And we have your auto loan, your motorcycle loan, your exercise equipment loan, and then your graduate education as well as your undergrad. And so what's really important with debt is what we're going to do is we're going to use about $18,000 from the inheritance to pay off some of the outstanding credit. And then we're going to put the rest into Power Pay. And Power Pay makes it so that it pays off the highest interest first, and it just kind of snowballs and ends up paying everything off really quickly. And so we'll be able to pay off all of your debt in about 3 years. Without using Power Pay, it would actually double. And so it would take about 6 years to pay everything off by just continuing to do all the payments. And so when you do become completely debt free, it's actually going to free up around $4,500, which will allow you to fund most, if not all, of your goals. So the way that interest works, because with debt there's different kinds of debt. There's good debt and there's bad debt, and we have a little bit of both. And so interest can either hurt or help us. And so with your goals, it's helping us because we're putting it in and it just works for you. But with debt, it works kind of against you. And so we want to focus on paying your highest interest first. So like your credit cards, your MasterCard has a 20% interest rate, and your Capital One card has a 24%. And so we want to get those paid off as quickly as possible. And then we'll go down and do your exercise equipment. And then we'll do like your car and motorcycle, and then your undergrad and your graduate education. Those aren't very high interest rates. And so it's all right to pay a little bit longer on those. We just want to get the higher ones paid off quickly, because credit cards typically have pretty high interest rates. And so another goal that you mentioned was education. You mentioned that you wanted to be able to provide an education or higher education for your children. And so we have on the left, we have the assumptions. And so we have education is about 20 grand. You currently, to save, we use your savings account, your money market account, as well as your CD of 14,000. And so we have like what years they'll be in college, how many years they'll go, and the education inflation plus the investment rate. And so we found that for both children, you'll need about $40,000. And currently you have 17,000 with the CD, the savings and money market account. And so we'll need total, what we don't have right now is 22,000. And so if we pay about $300 a month until your children start going to college, you'll be able to provide for 4-year education for both children, which isn't bad because interest is, of course, helping us. Auto insurance, I looked at the different insurances. And so your Sequoia has a 100, 300, 100 policy, which is really good. Like that is what I advise for all of my clients to use. I would recommend getting the same for the motorcycle. And so we can, you'll have to talk with your insurance company, but it's usually not much more expensive. I wouldn't expect it to be any more than like 20, 30 bucks a month. But it will allow for you just to have a little bit more peace of mind, because motorcycles are pretty dangerous, and having an accident that harms a lot of people could greatly uh, put you at a disadvantage, because those accidents are really expensive. Retirement wise, in order for, this is what I have. So like we talked about, your need, total retirement is about 2.5 million. And so in order to reach that goal for retirement, we need to save about $1,200 a month. And so currently you're saving about $330, and so your employer puts in a half of whatever you do, and so they're putting away $110 a month, and your contribution is $220. And so in order to max out your 401k, because you can put in as much as 6% of your salary towards this, and then your employer would match 3%. And so in order to max that out, it would be $660, and so your employer would pay $330, which would give $990, so almost $1,000. And so the difference, because that would max out your 401k, and so once we max that out, I would recommend putting the difference into a Roth, because the growth that happens in a Roth is non-taxable, and so it just works out really well, because you don't have to pay taxes on that money when it comes out in the future. And so so right now you're doing like the 220, and so in order to reach your goal, you would need to save like in total $872, which is about $650 more than you are currently paying for retirement. Estate planning, I would recommend, you mentioned that you want everything to be given to your children, and that you stated a beneficiary, and like a person to trust with all that. And so I'd recommend getting a lawyer and just writing everything out in a will. It just makes things a lot easier if something were to happen. I would also establish a trust, because it makes the transfer of assets just a lot easier than any other way. And so I have a couple of final suggestions. On your income statement, I put in to decrease your entertainment spending by half, because right now it's $450, and so I decreased it to $225 a month. That would save a little bit of money, and then to refrain from going on any triathlon and vacation trips until your debt is paid off, because once we pay off that debt, we're able to better save for your trips, and you're just given a lot more fluid income for that. And so it was so nice working with you and creating this financial plan. And so reach out to me via email or call if you want to talk to me this over, but it's been great to work with you. Thanks.